Hello and welcome to TYT Community here on the TYT Network. I am your host, Jeff Waldorf. It's going to be a great show today. We've got some Republican fails, we've got climate change, we've got Duck Dynasty, we've got the Pope. We got it all today. We got it all. So why don't we get started? But first, let's introduce my panelists here for today. Joining me today, I've got Sean Fitzgerald, Thomas Reynolds from Some Say Info, My Liberals, and of course we've got Lucy joining us as well. Thanks everybody for joining us.
Hey everybody.
This is gonna be a spooktacular show.
That's tomorrow, dumbass.
Yeah, don't steal my thunder for the plug for later.
That's tomorrow, sir. That is tomorrow. So yeah, tomorrow gonna be a good show. But first, let's get through today, shall we? All right. We're gonna start out with a little bit of an important story. That is, of course, if you care about higher education, if you care about any of that stuff, because we're gonna talk about some of the new proposed rules for for-profit colleges. That's awesome. So the Obama administration has caved again. Oh boy, what did they cave on this time, guys? Well, this time they caved on new regulations that would look to rein in some for-profit colleges. Now, let me get into some of these rules. The initial rules that were proposed back in March targeted for-profit colleges and were actually fairly tough. But these rules were, of course, targeted by a huge lobbying blitz by the industry. And so, of course, knowing our government, knowing how lobbying works, they were watered down. Now, one of these rules was called the Gainful Employment Rule. So what did that do? Well, basically it said that if the program you're offering does not prepare the student for gainful employment, then it will no longer get federal student aid money. Interesting. Now, how do they measure that? How do they measure to see if a student gets gainful employment? Well, they look at the ratio of student debt to average earnings and, of course, the rate on default for student loans. Now, if the ratio of a program is too high, then it's considered a low-performing program, and it would no longer be eligible for funding under the first draft of these proposed rules. Okay, the first draft. Now, the new rules were unfortunately not the same as the old proposed rules because of this massive lobbying blitz. Well, why would they lobby so hard against these rules? Well, because according to statistics, for-profit colleges get about 90% of their revenue from the federal government in the form of student loans. That's sort of their cash cow, you know? So we don't want to take away the cash cow, so we got to water down these rules. Now, not only that, but the gainful employment rule, if it had been enacted in the first draft, would have actually shut down 20% of the programs at for-profit colleges for failing to meet these standards, these gainful employment standards. And another 11% would be at risk for failing. So you're looking at almost 31% of their programs being possibly axed because they would no longer get funding. Now that is a huge substantial part of the for-profit business model. Not only that, but the Department of Education estimated that about 500 programs that would have failed the original draft rules would now pass because of these watered-down rules. And there was another rule that was also dropped, and that was an accountability metric. Now, this metric would have penalized programs with high loan default rates. So I'm a little disheartened by this, by these rules being watered down. I think for-profit colleges are a massive waste of money and a massive waste of time, especially federal money. But I want to get your guys' opinion on this. What do you think about these rules? What do you think about the proposed rules and the administration's cave on these new rules?
Well, it seems to me like the whole point to going to a college, any sort of college or educational place, is to get employment. If the place is failing you and not helping you get employment, yeah, they should be closed down, because obviously they're scamming you, or B, they just really aren't teaching what they need to teach. They need to look at their program and be like, oh, well, it's not working this way, maybe we should try something else. I mean, I think for-profit colleges are the biggest scam out there, but hey, if you want to go to one, have at it, Hoss. Like, but if it's not working and it's not helping you get a job, then what's the point of even going? You're just going to go into debt and not get a job to pay it off.
And it's also the taxpayers getting into debt as well, because a lot of this money, 90% of this revenue comes from student loans paid for by the taxpayers. So it's not only wasting your money, putting you into debt, but it's putting you into debt and taking money from the taxpayers to do it. It's horrible.
I don't know. I, as a young American, have come to the realization I'm never going to be out of debt. Like, I have to pay for wars, I have to pay for medical for old people, I have to pay my own bills. I'm just going to be in debt forever.
Well, that's kind of the reality of the young American these days. All right, Tom, what do you think?
I'll comment on the bit with Obama and the Obama administration caving. Are we really surprised at this point? It's been 6 years of caving, capitulating, and giving Republicans targets, and easy targets. The main show did a story about what was it with the Social Security. This is a constant thing with them, and it doesn't surprise me. It's getting tired and old, and then they wonder, oh, well, why is there voter apathy? This is why there's voter apathy, and it's a continuous thing, and the Republicans do it too, but it's really disheartening when the Democrats do it, because they're supposed to be the good guys. They're supposed to be better than that. And they time and time again prove in a lot of ways that they're not, and when they do stuff like this.
All right, Sean?
Okay, so I'm in college right now. I don't go to a for-profit college, and I'm actually I'm like, this rule is terrible, but it's not the root cause of like the for-profit college problem. The for-profit college problem comes from the fact that we give out all this aid and all these loans, and in fact, Barack Obama, more than any other person, because of what he did with student loans, making the interest rate lower, is the greatest advocate for for-profit colleges ever. Like, the colleges are set up in a way that they always seem to charge exactly what you can borrow, which, to Lucy's point, is a huge, gigantic scam. But this is really an effect of the government's giving out a lot of money, and there are people who are rent seekers that are doing what they can to masquerade as colleges in order to get that money. So, like, the problem is the loan system, and this would really be a patch on a problem that the government created. And for the record, the biggest scam in the entire world is not for-profit colleges. It's adopt a highway. Did you know you can't even widen your own lanes on it? But to a more serious point, yeah, it's terrible, and I don't like most for-profit colleges. I leave an exemption for certain trade schools like automotive technician and stuff like that have higher gainful employment than like the University of Phoenix or DeVry or any of these other colleges that I'll willingly throw under the bus. But yeah, it's a problem, but it's a problem created by the fact that we give away all this money in the first place.
You say that it's a problem created by government, but it's a problem that also could be fixed by government. Didn't you see what Germany just did? They eliminated tuition for all university. Gone. No student loan debts. No for-profit colleges that are predatory. Get rid of all of that, and make higher education free and attainable.
Jeff, I'm not a lawyer, but is there a way individual states, if we talk states' rights, could like enact laws to make for-profit colleges illegal, and or is that against capitalism and I'm a free market hater and all that?
Honestly, the states could probably do that on an individual basis. But what bothers me about that is there are like rare good, like there are for-profit schools that existed before all the student loan money was injected into the system. And those are like your trade schools that teach you air conditioning repair, that actually teach you things for jobs, not like these schools that promise you like a career in criminal justice, but they don't give you a degree or help you get a license in anything. They just, like, I don't know what the fuck they do, but they don't get you anything. So there are...
But Sean, like anything, like Obamacare, like anything, you can make exemptions for that in the law. If we write meaningful legislation that outlaws this, or outlaws where the money is going to, and make it stick, if we had politicians with backbone instead of maybe getting money from these lobbyists who pay them off, wolf-pack.com, perhaps we might be able to have meaningful education and erase debt so Lucy isn't burdened by it, so you're not burdened by it, and so anybody who chooses to go to a university or seek higher education isn't burdened by it in this country.
I just want to make one more quick point. That 90% of their money comes from the federal government is actually misleading. It's more because they target soldiers for the other 10% that they're legally obligated to get from not federal government sources, and they end up using their GI Bill for that since that's not counted. So it's actually much more money that they're stealing from the taxpayers.
So it's even worse
yes.
than what it's originally reported. And yeah, that just seems like it's incredibly predatory from what it, all the information that you have. Like, these guys are hucksters. These guys are charlatans. And the fact that the administration is getting lobbied with so much money on this just shows how much of a money-making operation it is for these charlatans, for these schools that aren't setting you up with an actual education that you can use to get a job in the market. It's just, it's capitalism run amok.
Let me say this really quick. This is the last point I want to make. The only way to fix the problem caused by the government is for the government to get off its lazy ass and go ahead and start working for the people. But we're not going to see that until there's changes in financial backing. So, Wolf-Pack, it all starts with you.
All right. So, move on to the next story. So that was our more serious story of the night. We're going to head on to something a little bit more interesting, and this has to do with climate change. Also, Tom, you may want to check your volume. Apparently, you're a little rough on the ears. At least that's what I assume. If there's anything else, then, I can't fix that. John Coleman is a meteorologist and co-founder of the Weather Channel. So obviously he knows a lot about weather, right? And he obviously knows a lot about climate change, right? Well, perhaps not. You see, his recent appearance on the Kelly File shows that he's not exactly buying the science of climate change. Let's take a look.
John Coleman is the co-founder of the Weather Channel, winner of the American Meteorological Society's Award for Broadcast Meteorologist of the Year, and he has spent more than 60 years reporting on the weather. John, good to see you tonight. And so upset were you by the claims of man-made global warming that you wrote a letter to the UCLA's Hammer Museum for their forum that was called Tackling Climate Change. And you said you don't have both sides represented, and I'm here to tell you that man-made global climate change is a myth. How can you say that?
Well, it's very difficult for anybody to be against it because the media has told the nation over and over again, day after day, for 20 years, that the oceans are rising, the polar bears are dying, the sea, the ice is melting, that storms are going to sweep the earth, and that we're all going to die of a heat wave. I mean, this is an incredible bad science.
What's your data to the contrary? But what's your data to the contrary? And soon the Weather Channel will be canceled altogether. They will push it out of existence since you've taken this position. But let's get specific, because you talk about how the efforts to prove the theory that carbon dioxide is a significant greenhouse gas and that it's causing significant warming have failed, and yet the data say that carbon dioxide was proven to be a greenhouse gas in the 1957 paper by Roger Revelle. The EPA says it's a greenhouse gas. The scientific community has accepted that it's a greenhouse gas, and that the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere has gone up since 1958.
Well, there are 9,000 PhDs and 31 scientists who have signed a petition that says it is not a significant greenhouse gas. Oh, it's a teeny, itsy-bitsy greenhouse gas, but it's not in any way significant, and we are sure of it. It's not like something I've made up or just thought of. I've studied and studied and studied. And Roger Revelle, the great scientist who wrote that paper back in 1957 with Hans Suess, changed his mind a decade later and said, wait a minute, I think we were wrong. Don't anybody panic. I don't think there's any global warming. And that's when Al Gore said he was senile.
Al Gore, okay. Al Gore said he was senile. Okay, so speaking of Al Gore, let's remind the audience of what Al Gore said.
Roger Revelle taught it. Well, I would like to announce tonight to people who are friends of Al Gore's that, whoops, he got that one wrong. The Antarctic ice cap is at an all-time record high in both coverage and thickness, and the Arctic ice cap at the North Pole is at the highest it has been in several years. It's in its so-called normal range since we got satellite observations that could measure it. So not only is the ice not melting, more polar bears are alive and happy today than we've had in 100 years. Life is good, Miss Kelly. I got to tell you, life is good.
Life is good.
All right. I want to jump in first. If you
hold on. Okay, go ahead. Fuck it. Do it live.
Okay, so a lot of people are going to say founder of the Weather Channel, it's over. He said it, therefore it is true. But I just want to point out three things. One, he said 9,000 PhDs and 31 scientists. So he kind of fucked up that talking point. I would have just left it at 9,000 PhDs. Sounds more impressive. Number two, his last name is not what you call it, Spritzer or Storms or anything weather related. It's Coleman, aka Coleman. Think about it. He doesn't even have a real weatherman's name, so you can't trust him. He has a Coleman's name because he's in favor of coal. I've solved this. The Weather Channel is evil, and who even watches the Weather Channel anymore? You get weather on your phone.
Okay, so let me push back on the Weather Channel thing a little bit later, but I just have to point out how funny it is that he's like, that both Megyn Kelly and him are like, Al Gore, gotcha. Oh, like that's like bait to them. It's like, oh, but see, what about Al Gore? What about Al Gore? Guys, he was wrong. Like, Al Gore is as much of a climate scientist as this guy is, or as Megyn Kelly is, right? He's a meteorologist. His expertise isn't even on climate, but on weather. It's not the same thing.
Jeff, I'm just so glad Megyn Kelly was finally able to drop an elbow on Al Gore. I'm just thrilled. She finally got the elbow from the sky and dropped it. And this isn't showing the signs of climate change, guys. This is showing the signs of the rapture. Can we get it right? Can we just get what we're seeing right? It's the signs of the rapture, not climate change. And there you go. That's how silly I see this topic right now with them and how they discuss it. So I'm gonna take it down to their stupidity level.
Actually, if you really want to take it down to their level, notice how, and I've edited this video. Okay, so it was actually a couple minutes longer, more than a couple times. It did that across the desk shot where Megyn Kelly's got a clear desk, so clearly it's to show off her legs with that special camera shot coming in. And they did that several times. So if you want to bring it down to that level, you have to point that out. Like, clearly, whatever she was saying was not interesting enough for the audience. They had to show her legs.
Maybe we should start doing that. Like, I'll just sit here in like a mini skirt, and like every time something boring comes on, we just swoop. There's my legs. Swoop. There's my legs.
There you go. There you go. That'll get our page numbers up and everything. You know, I could be like the scarecrow. You could show the legs, and we'll even it out.
I just want to point out to everybody who's listening and may listen in the future, climate and weather are two completely different things. Okay, like they're different things. Like, weather is what's going on right now. Climate is the overall. Like, we don't say like, oh, there's a climate of snow in the Amazon rainforest. Like, that's not the climate. It could be the weather at the time, but the climate is not snow.
It's almost saying like it was cold outside yesterday, therefore the climate is not warming.
But it was cold outside today. All right,
Damn it.
I do have a couple points. One, everybody hates Al Gore, so I understand why they want to make fun of him. I mean, I think
like Al Gore. I must be the lone wolf here, Sean. I like Al Gore.
Well,
I mean,
you're wrong. So everybody hates Al Gore. He has a stupid face, and I understand why they show him and they poke fun at him. And to be fair, this guy founded the Weather Channel. Al Gore founded Current, which he sold to Al Jazeera, which obviously has implicit connections because their name is Al Gore, Al Jazeera. Think about it. But in all seriousness, he did sell it to a channel that is funded by oil money. So I don't like Al Gore. I think personally he's selling you solutions that aren't great with a real problem. The weatherman Coleman is selling you non-truth things, huh?
Bullshit? Is that that's what he's
but I'm saying he's selling you a lie. Al Gore's selling you a lie after he tells you the truth, in my opinion, because I think Al Gore is pushing bad solutions.
Here's my thing for the climate deniers out there. What's the harm? I mean, forget the cap and trade and all that argument. But what's the harm of just, like, doing something to improve the environment? Even if you don't believe in it, okay? Just let's remove that argument from you. Don't believe it. Okay, cool. You don't believe in it. What is the harm of actually doing something to prevent further damage that you may not necessarily believe in, but it might better people's lives? Can somebody, like...
But if you don't believe in it, then you don't believe that it will improve people's lives. Like,
I'll do you one. No. I'll do you one. Because it seems to me that a lot of the deniers are the same people who believe the Earth was only 6,000 years old. Okay, if you believe that the Earth was made just for us humans, why are you messing it up? Why are you ruining it? Why can't you just make sure that the life goes on and continues? If you think the Earth is only 6,000 years old, and we know there's not another planet that we can inhabit within traveling distance, it's not like we could just, like, shoot a rocket to Mars and go live there tomorrow if we had to. We need to stop messing with this planet. We need to go ahead and protect it because, hey, you're the ones who believe it's only 6,000 years old. And if it's only 6,000 years old, we've really fucked it up in the 6,000 years that we've had it.
Lucy, Jeff, I think I can end this argument. See this dog? See this cute dog? Do you want to ruin her Earth? Do you really want to ruin her Earth? She's so cute. I mean, come on. Puppy. Cute. Okay, go ahead.
Wait, since Tom's doing that, I want to take this time to say spooky skeleton.
All right, well, here's something serious. Now, you guys said something about the how, the Weather Channel is evil, I believe you said, Sean. Here's the Weather Channel's statement on this. Quote, more than a century's worth of detailed climate observation shows a sharp increase in both carbon dioxide and temperatures. These observations, together with computer model simulations and historical climate reconstructions from ice cores, ocean sediments, and tree rings, all provide strong evidence that the majority of the warming over the past century is a result of human activities. This is also the conclusion drawn nearly unanimously by climate scientists. So the Weather Channel saying, no, you're wrong, without actually addressing Mr. Coleman by saying, no, climate change is real. We do have evidence of this. Just ignore the other guy. And look, this guy, to kind of wrap this whole thing up with the credentials of this guy, he's a weatherman. And he's somebody that, to his credit, pioneered some of the current techniques used by weather forecasters, such as using on-screen satellite technology, computer graphics, in weather. So as far as being a successful in the technical areas of forecasting weather, great, smart guy. But when it comes to the actual science, it doesn't take a scientist to point at a screen and say, it's going to be 86 in Memphis today.
And again, his name is not John Storms.
For Sean, that's an automatic disqualification from Weatherman. I'm just saying. Oh, I also want to mention one more thing, too. I was reading up on him earlier today. He doesn't hold a degree in climatology or any related discipline, and he hasn't studied or conducted any research in either of those fields or related. And he does have a degree. You know what his degree is in? Journalism. Journalism from the University of Illinois. He's about as qualified as at the science behind climate change as Megyn Kelly, which is to say he's not very qualified at all. So, spooky skeleton time, right? That's right. All right, we go to our next story, which we have another video. We now turn from the unscientific to the absurd. And who better embodies the absurd than Sarah Palin? Yes, Sarah Palin put a video up on her channel talking about the same issue of climate change. And she had this to say.
Recently, thousands of environmentalists marched in New York demanding immediate action on climate change. Thankfully, though, more Americans are getting tired of the hysterics and are finally waking up to the con job. Here's the con. We're being told the planet will suffer catastrophically unless we cut our emissions, which means losing jobs, wrecking the coal industry, and dramatically hurting our economy. But wait, the so-called experts now tell us that even if we do all those things that the Obama administration tells us that we must do, well, the effect on the actual temperature of the planet will be imperceptible, is what they're telling us. Their computer models just can't get the right answers, I guess, because that's what we're being told. I don't know about you. I'm in no mood, though, to cripple the American economy for imperceptible changes estimated by flawed computer models. We can't predict the weather accurately next month, but we're supposed to believe these experts can predict exactly what the weather patterns will be in 100 or 1,000 or 5,000 years from now. Right. Look, I'm not a denier. I don't doubt that climate change exists. I live in an Arctic state. As governor traveling around the coastline, especially up in the Arctic, you can see changes based on the cyclical pattern of climate and weather are always changing. We can see the effects of changing weather patterns, not only on the coastline, elsewhere on land, but no one has proven that these changes are caused by anything done by human beings via greenhouse gases.
So yeah, there's Sarah Palin. What do you guys think so far?
Someone deserves some throat punches, straight up. Throat punches, like flying throat punches all the way from New York to Alaska. That's how mega these throat punches are going to be.
Anything serious?
No, I'm kidding. I would never hit a politician.
I know.
I would just not vote for her. I don't want to be on a terror watch list. So NSA, I'm not going to hit Sarah Palin. Cross my heart. Swear to God.
It doesn't count if you're swearing to Allah.
I'm sorry. I'll swear to whatever God you want me to swear to, but I'm not going to hit a politician.
Because that makes it meaningful. I'll swear to Zeus.
No,
or in Sean's case, Thor.
This just goes back to like the story before. Weather is not climate. So can you please stop us telling people weather is climate? They're two different things. You can look outside and see the weather. You kind of have to know the area to know the climate.
No, I love how she says, I'm not a denier while denying.
That's the same as saying, I'm not racist, but black people are kind of lazy. Like, that's so stupid. Whenever you have to start off defending yourself, obviously what you're you know what you're about to say is completely wrong and is going to be taken in a wrong way. And just so everybody knows, I am not racist. I love black people. Haven can vouch for me.
Well, okay, so if you're to take her for, at her position, she says, well, we don't want to do anything because it's going to wreck the coal industry. Yeah, well, the coal industry is a central part of the problem. Yeah, you're going to end up wrecking some sort of industry, but the beautiful thing about science and technology is that you can create new, better industries. You know?
Me.
Sarah Palin. Sean, go ahead.
Okay, I have to go because I'm about to shock the entire world. I might have had to agree with 90% of what Sarah Palin said. She totally lost me at the end when she said it wasn't man-made. But the fact that the proposals don't have a long-term discernible impact on climate change is actually 100% true. She was interchanging weather and climate. She's Sarah Palin. She's not smart like that we know of. But where she started out about the climate march, totally agree. I got stuck in traffic for 6 hours at the climate march. So, yeah, I'm Mark Ruffalo, all you guys, fuck you guys. I couldn't move my car from Central Park for fucking 6 hours. So, yeah, I totally agree with her on that. But in all seriousness, like the overall point of that clip, like not the whole video, was that the proposals do not significantly alter climate change, even if we did all that is proposed right now, which is technically true. Now, her solution is to do lesser and not like and not anything like more about it, and she interchanges climate and weather. But the basic thing of her statement was like surprisingly true from Sarah Palin. I'm a little stunned by that.
Okay, here's the comparison I'm going to make to climate deniers to put this in the best point, I think. She and their ilk are kind of like the last of the horse and buggy manufacturers, right? We don't need to pave roads. We still have horse and buggies. We don't need to do that for cars. You can't afford cars.
That's
then
too
what
expensive. It's gonna ruin. It's gonna put these industries out of competition. They're not gonna exist anymore. Then what are they gonna do? You're gonna lose jobs.
Exactly. She is the last horse and buggy manufacturer. That's what Sarah Palin and climate deniers are. Eventually, people are going to get on the bandwagon. Things are going to change. The Earth is going to be better for it. And if we're wrong, all the more better. Then they could say, see, you were wrong, you're idiots. Fine. Wouldn't they? They love doing that anyway, so they'll get off on it, and everybody wins.
I hate to be a dick and dissect an analogy, but one thing, they would get off the bandwagon because the horses pull the wagons, and number two, horse and buggies still exist. They're still outside of Central Park every day. You can still pay for them. So yeah, poo-poo on that. Lucy?
Let me say this to Sarah Palin. I will defend Sarah Palin. If you don't think the steps that we want to take are good, propose different steps, and then but don't deny the science. You know what I mean? Don't deny the science.
Muddy the water. Like that's the biggest takeaway that you can take from Sarah Palin is that through her interchangeable interchangeability between weather and climate that she tends to go to, it shows a deep misunderstanding of the actual science. Which, look, I can understand. She's a politician. Of course, she's not going to know the science, but at the same time, when she does videos on this topic to try and present scientific points.
Jeff, I'm sorry. I got to interrupt. I'm sorry. But she's not, you're being too kind. She's not even a politician anymore. She's a former loser who quit. She's not a politician anymore. She won't even go on YouTube with her channel. She can't even say she's a YouTuber. Okay? So she's a former loser politician who bilks money out of a pack. And that's it. She's an attention whore. That's what she is. Let's be honest about what and who Sarah Palin is. I said it, you did it. So let's not be too nice, because there's no war on women. So let's call it as it is. If like the conservatives always tell us to do.
Fair enough. Sarah Palin is dumb. Fair enough.
Just for the record, how many takes do you think that video took?
27.
Tom? Okay, Lucy. Since
No. She's still doing takes. She's still doing them. She thinks she still has to do them. She never stopped. The crew just walked away from it for an hour.
Wait, is this going to be like Price is Right? Closest guess without going over wins. What's the highest? 27. I'm going to go 28.
You win membership to Sarah Palin's website. So.
Just what I wanted, guys.
But yeah.
No. Somebody needs to be the asshole to bet $1. $1.
She only puts out like one video a month, and that's because she's retaking it all the time. That was the most coherent I've ever heard her sound in my entire life. Like, no stuttering or, like, you know what I mean?
I don't know. She still looks like a bit like a deer in the headlights. Oh, and I didn't even get to the second part of the clip. I should play that now. That's not even the most egregious part of what she said, or the most ridiculous.
Just really quick, I want to say, not everybody can be a cool kid and do live shows on YouTube like us.
That's true.
Climate change is to this century what eugenics was to the last century. It's hysteria, and a lot of it's junk science. And when it's as discredited as eugenics, a lot of people are going to look very foolish and heartless.
Very foolish and heartless. Heartless, why? Because she makes an argument that could have some merit, that's something that Sean has pointed out before. You're holding back developing countries from being able to use cheap energy sources to have the same standard of living as America. But you can always counter that with, but climate change also tends to affect more of the poorer areas anyway, because they can't really deal with the monetary costs of climate change. So,
I just want to point out that was a very dick move of you, Jeff, saving that last clip, because I said I agree with her 98%, and then she drops the eugenics bomb. And, so that's super unfortunate. Obviously, if she didn't lose me already, which she did, she lost me even more there. Jeff already pointed out that there is a point that you're delaying a developing economy and all that stuff, but it's not a eugenics plot. Or is it?
That's why
I just like to point out, if Al Gore is right and we can't have this argument anymore, what's the point? Because we won't be here to be able to have this argument. We keep dancing around that simple fact that if Al Gore is right, maybe we might get to that point, but my kid or her grandchildren, somewhere along that line, and they see shit like this, That's just sad. I just wanted to point that out.
Let me just ask. I was actually really expecting her to turn it and flip it into like a debate on whether evolution should be taught in schools. When she dropped the eugenics bomb, I was like, oh man, here comes evolution. I know it's coming. Because that's always what they like to point to whenever they're like, oh, we shouldn't teach evolution, eugenics. But climate change, eugenics. It's pretty interesting. Pretty tricky there, Sarah Palin.
Don't make me defend Sarah Palin. Stop doing it, guys. Sarah Palin actually gave the right answer on an evolution question. She's like, my dad's a science teacher, and we believe up in Alaska that science should be taught in the science classroom, don't you know?
I'm a little unclear on this, Jeff. Is she still not a denier, or is she a denier? I'm unclear. Clear that out for me.
I think she's still a denier in the sense that she denies that it's human activity that's causing climate change, because she admits that, well, climate is changing, but it's a cyclical cycle. Don't you know? So she's a denier in the fact that she denies that human activity has anything to do with the rapid increase of global temperatures.
So is she like a denier curious? Maybe a closeted denier?
I don't know. I wouldn't put Sarah Palin in a closet.
But that's because if you put a mama grizzly in the closet, your clothes are going to get all torn up.
Yeah. We'll just avoid closeting Sarah Palin. It's just
yes,
it's just not a good way to go.
Here's the thing: she might fly away on the broom.
All right.
Just in time for Halloween.
Anyway, let's go on to the American Jihad. American Jihad. That should be fun. Dr. Keith Ablow recently wrote a column for Fox News that got him into a little bit of trouble. Big surprise. So to clear up any misunderstandings about the article, he went and spoke to his friends at Fox and Friends. Let's take a look.
Well, consider this idea, an American jihad. That's what our own Dr. Keith Ablow is calling for in his new op-ed.
Now, Dr. Keith is coming under fire for his idea. Why? Well, he joins us right now from Boston. Keith, let's start with, okay, you're calling for an American jihad. When you say jihad, what do you mean?
Well, I looked it up to make sure that I was being consistent with the spirit of the word, which is a struggle against non-believers. Those who don't believe in freedom, who don't believe in autonomy and liberty, are our natural enemies. And we need to again embrace the fact that we have manifest destiny as this country, as Americans, to not only remain American fundamentally in our own national character, but to spread our national character to other nations such that they would model ours.
Okay, well, here's an excerpt from it. It says, we would accept the fact that an American jihad could mean boots on the ground in many places in the world where human rights are being denigrated and horrors are unfolding. Because wherever leaders and movements appear that seek to trample upon the human spirit, we have a God-given right to intervene. Well, Dr. Ablow, the folks that are saying Allahu Akbar are worshiping a far different God than the God that I worship.
With an American jihad, every business that is built is an offering. Every tax dollar is a tithing to what? To the march of liberty here and around the world. Let's re-embrace the brand from on high, which is the United States of America, and our commitment to liberty. We didn't survive tyranny. We didn't defeat people in every war we've ever fought, essentially, for no reason. It's not by accident. It's because we're aligned with something called the truth.
I looked it up. Don't worry. I know what the word jihad means. Don't be afraid. I did the research. And here's the other thing, right, that kind of creeped me out about this is the whole, the talk about manifest destiny. Boots on the ground, especially, in the op-ed, well, I realized we're going to have to go to war with pretty much every other nation in the world in order to do this American jihad. Creepy, man. Creepy. Lucy? Have at it.
Okay, so just listening to this clip makes me angry. It makes the angry Muslim come out and boil. Here's the thing. The God is the same. From Judaism to Christianity to Islam. It's the same motherfucking God. Same God, okay? Jesus is in the Quran. So calm your titties, everybody, okay? It's the same God. Okay, so that's the first thing. So Fox News, shut your face because it's the same fucking God. Second thing. So you look up the word jihad. But how many times have you always been like, oh, jihad's a bad thing, jihad's a bad thing? Now you're all of a sudden gonna turn around and be like, well, maybe we need to do an American jihad. Thirdly, we're gonna start fucking invading countries that are breaking human rights. Okay, let me know when we enter Saudi Arabia. Let me know, okay? I'll be sitting here. I'll be giggling when we enter Saudi Arabia, or when we enter Russia, or when we go to fuck up Boko Haram.
Why don't we?
When are we going to invade Israel for killing a bunch of civilians? Oh, that's
Lucy, I have the answer to that.
It's
right after we.
The oil.
Lucy, I have the answer to that. When we're going to invade the other countries that are breaking human rights, just as soon after we invade ourselves.
Yeah, Ferguson.
Or what we're doing in Detroit with the water crisis. What we're doing with our militarization of police here in America, right after we get done with that.
It's not just the water crisis in Detroit. It's also that we're denying rights to our fellow Americans by not allowing, gay marriage. Like, for some reason, it's illegal. Well, fuck that. Fuck that. That's a human right. I'm pretty sure they were like, oh, pursuit of happiness. Well, who's to say that getting married isn't their pursuit of happiness? So right there. Fucking right there. Like, this just pisses me off on so many levels. They think
angry Muslim, can I
point out? Let me finish. They think they're being edgy and cool because they see that the youth are starting to defend Muslims. Why? Because here in this country, Muslims aren't trying to take our rights away. The fundamentalist Christians are trying to take my vote away. They're trying to control my vagina. They're trying to control everything about my life. And Muslims are just chilling over in the Middle East doing their thing. That's why Fox News is starting to defend fucking Muslims, because they see, oh, our population is dying, so now we can start reaching out to the youth.
Since I'll be the voice of reason here for Dr. Abloh. Okay, he is trying to take jihadists back, just like as if I'm white. If I was gonna take Cracker or Honky back, I'm taking Honky back. That's all he's doing. He's not trying to be offensive or anything. He's just trying to take a word back, to make it less scary and evil. So when they fling it around next time, it won't have the same meaning. So he's doing a good thing, right?
No, because I guarantee you the next time that there's a terror attack, they're going to say, oh, it was a jihad. It was a jihad. It was a jihad. It's an Arabic word. No, to begin with, it's an Arabic word. It's not like it's an English word that we're like, oh, hey. It's not like it's the word nigger, okay? It's not the word nigger. It's not an American word derived from, it's an Arabic word. It's their word. It means to struggle, okay?
No, believe me, sweetie, I understand. But the point is that he feels like he's doing something good in his warped.
But he's not. He's not, because tomorrow.
I understand that, but
to mean military invasion. Just hear me out. He's using the word to mean military invasion, which means the next time that we hear the word jihad in the media, it's going to be somebody did some sort of military attack, or they are invading us, or they're attacking us. It's going to be something military. I guarantee it. I'll fucking put money on it right now. They're not trying to take the word jihad. They're just trying to keep it fresh in our minds for the next fucking attack that they can blame on Muslims.
Yeah, I understand you. I'm not debating that fact. What I'm just saying is I'm trying to explain his perspective and assertive meme that they're trying to do, and he's trying to do, and he's a moron. He's an idiot. That's fine. He happens to have
he's somebody who wants to go to war. That's what this is about. He wants to go to war to quote unquote spread American democracy. Well, you can't spread democracy at the point of a sword. And I guess he sort of doesn't understand that. You have to allow these other places to develop a democracy on their own. That's why Iraq didn't work. That's why Afghanistan didn't work. That's why those places are still horrible places to be, because we tried to force a system of government onto them they were not ready for.
Okay, can I talk now?
Sean, please.
Okay, so Dr. Keith Abloh is so unbelievably wrong here, it's actually kind of amazing. Number one, first of all, I don't know why they ever let him on Fox News ever again. He said taxes are tithes, T-I-T-H-E-S, to the holy cause of spreading America. So Dr. Keith Abloh is in favor of high taxes, probably 100% taxes, because we're spreading goodness with that. Big government, pro-person, they should never have him on Fox again. Number two, he said that the point of America is for other people to emulate us, which is true. Except emulate doesn't mean that we go take over other places and we recreate our own image over there. Emulate means, and I looked it up just like Dr. Keith Abloh, to match or surpass a person or achievement, typically by imitation. We're supposed to set a good example, and they're supposed to emulate us. None of the founding fathers wanted to invade foreign countries and recreate America. They said that if this republic works, everybody will imitate it. That's the point of America. We're not supposed to force people to be like us. We're supposed to become wealthy, become a great and free society, and then people are supposed to want to be like us. Totally missed that point. According to him, we are supposed to be like the British Empire, or the American Empire is now, where we conquer places and we install our own system. So totally wrong there. I forgot. There's so much wrong in this. It's amazing.
Well, I want to point out one thing.
Also, he's trying to rebrand jihad, which is fucking awesome. He's adding American to it. Like, he's like, if I put American in front of anything, it's awesome. American serial killer. Let's fucking give him a medal. American motorcycle accident. I'm sure everybody was alright because it was awesome and American. American cancer. It doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
One thing that I want to point out too, where he said, and that's pretty disturbing, is that this comes from on high. Because we are armed with the truth. You know what that means? This is like religious language couched in here, meaning that he wants to set up, like, he thinks that this is manifest destiny from God himself, and that God has put America here to now forcefully spread his beliefs of Jesus and God and the Christian religion everywhere around the world. And I'm surprised none of you really noticed that language couched in there, but it's in there.
Jeff, I did notice it. I did notice it, and I'm glad you pointed it out because I was going to do it a lot angrier. You did it a lot calmer than I did, because this to me is him being a self-righteous prick, and this is why they, quote, John McCain quotes, hate us. When we get all arrogant and USA, we're self-righteous, fling the Jesus jacket to cure you from Ebola, we're going to save you. That's why they fucking hate us, because we're so goddamn arrogant. See? Told you.
But you know who he's in line with? He's in line with Woodrow Wilson, not the Founding Fathers. This is Woodrow Wilson, make the world safe for democracy. That means Dr. Keith Abloh is in line with the progressive era. Why is he on Fox? Like, I thought conservatives hated everything that he just said. Taxes are holy ties. We should make the world safe for democracy by emulating ourselves. The Manifest Destiny thing, first of all, that only meant that we go west, not to the Middle East. But whatever. My point is, he's like so off, and like he's so separate from like what conservatives think is normal. Like not your like I'm talking about like your ideological conservatives. Like Glenn Beck did an entire TV show on how much Woodrow Wilson's secret plot ruined this country, which is not little bit true. Woodrow Wilson was a terrible guy, but I'm just saying like. These are the people that the conservatives have been attacking, and he's like, whatever, if we call it American Jihad, everything's cool.
It's only cool until they can use it to keep it. The whole reason he wants to use the word jihad, like I just said, is so he can keep it fresh in our minds, saying, oh, it means military, it means we're attacking, or they're attacking, or something's going on. They're not even using it. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. You can go on. You can see videos of Islamic scholars who talk about what jihad means. Like, who am I going to trust? The guy who's heard it a million times only from news, or the guy who actually speaks the language, understands the language, and is teaching about the religion? Who am I going to trust? Who am I going to trust in said situation on the meaning of a word?
Well, what's the doctor who looked it up? So.
Can I have the last word on this, please? Can I, please? Pretty please?
All right, go.
Okay, democracy is not an STD. Put a fucking condom on it.
I don't get what that means, so I'm going to take the last word.
He wants to spread it around like an STD. It's not an STD.
What I'm going to say is Dr. Keith Avlo admires terrorists. He admires ISIS. He admires these people. I realize that jihad in other contexts doesn't mean, but in the way it's reported and the way he understands it, it's what you call it. He admires those people because they will spread their religious values through a barrel of a gun, and he wants to do that. Except the only difference is he wants to do it with the biggest, most powerful military that's ever existed. So that's Dr. Keith Avlo, somebody who admires the people that he tells us to be afraid of.
And this is where stuff like this is where we get the term, when we call people like this, the American Taliban.
They're a lot more scary to me than the real Taliban, so.
All right. Anyway, we go to our next story. Phil Robertson. Oh boy, that should be fun. Phil Robertson. Duck commander and family patriarch Phil Robertson decided to lend his personality to his nephew and Republican House candidate Zach Dasher in this fun new political ad. Take a look.
Hey, Louisiana, Bibles and guns brought us here, and Bibles and guns will keep us here. Zach Dasher believes in both. That's why I'm voting for him.
I'm Zach Dasher, and I approve this message.
Bibles and guns, folks. Bibles and guns. When your entire ad platform is just on those two things, you know you're in trouble. What do you guys think?
Bibles and guns.
I love this story. I did this story on Some Say for God, Gays, and Guns, and I love this story. This guy is this proves he can't do more than a 15-second ad because he has nothing valuable to add to a discussion. And two, we were brought here by guns in the Bible. Really? What is the Bible, like a magic carpet now? What the hell does that even mean? And two, guns, really? No. There's so much wrong with that ad. And there's another one too that he does where he vetted the guy. Well, of course he did. It's family, nepotism. It's many ways wrong with those two ads, but that one in particular, it makes no sense. It's typical Duck Dynasty. That's why he's on A&E, Arts and Entertainment. Where's the art in duck hunting? Explain that to me. That could take an hour long. And can he go away quietly? His 15 minutes are up. Please, dear God.
Okay, so with all the stories, in my opinion, with all the stories that have recently come out, not too recently, but have come out that these guys are actually not really as country as they like to say they are. Like they have like the pictures of them all clean shaven and wearing Abercrombie and Finch and looking like multimillionaires, you know, like the generic multimillionaires. Why are they still famous? Why are they still famous? You know what I mean? Because they made a few duck calls. Oh, that's great, but hey, at some point you gotta just give it up and go away. Also, here's another thing: the two things that led to the Native American genocide, the Bible and guns. And you're gonna remind people, hey, we killed people and we took land with guns and the Bible. Let's do that again, America.
Yeah. The Native American genocide was really based a lot of it was based on the fact that our gold somehow got under their land. Like I don't know why God put our gold there, but we obviously had a right to it. But to the overall substance, first of all, Phil Robinson, I was laughing during the ad. I didn't realize I wasn't muted, and because it looked like he was like reading horribly off of a script, which is weird because he's on reality TV, which is obviously extremely scripted. But the overall point of his ad is actually wrong. He said that he's in Louisiana. He said we got Louisiana through the Bible and guns. While it's true that the original 13 colonies rebelled against the British with guns, although the British government was also a church, or the head of the church, but that's a whole other issue. But there were guns involved in that. We bought Louisiana from France. Like, there are no Bibles and guns there. We bought them from France, the French. That's where that pussy state came from. That's why they have parishes instead of counties. So get that Bibles and guns shit out of there. That's French people selling us stuff. France.
Yeah, see, this is what these ads are about. Not facts, but exploitation, and that's also what Duck Dynasty's about. Nothing but selling a country brand to people who don't know any better. Exploitation. And another thing, once again, I'm talking about the dumbing. I'm going to go over to the dumbing down of political ads. Bibles and guns, right? Pretty soon, they're just not going to have anybody talking on these ads, and it's just going to be a Bible sitting next to a gun, and then, Zach Dasher, and I approve this message, after not saying anything. And then eventually after that, you're going to have Bibles carved into the shape of guns, or Bible verses emblazoned upon a giant gun, and that's your commercial. Vote for me. Guns.
Let me just say this. It scares the fuck out of me to know that these representatives are super into their religion and super into guns. Like, I don't want to live in a country where my representative can't see past their religion to make the best laws to protect me, the American, because my religion is probably different. You know what I mean? So can we just, okay, keep a little bit of your religion, be like, hey, I'm a whatever, so I believe what you believe. But let's not make that, one of the main focuses of the ads. Let's go ahead and start leaning more towards the center, like most of the younger generation is, and not really super extremist towards any religion, and just be like, hey, I'll protect your gun rights. All right?
Yeah, go be a Bible in the background. Go back to the ads where you're shooting bills. I like those. And also, this actually ad doesn't make me feel sad for America. It actually makes me think that people are the same across this country. Because what do we want to see? We want to see our candidate being endorsed by a celebrity. Whether that celebrity knows what they're talking about or not, Democrat or Republican, if it's a celebrity endorsing our guy that we like, we're going to go out and vote for him. And that's the power of American celebrity. So, yay.
And not only that, would we even air that any of that guy's ads if Phil Robertson was not in them? Would we really? If it was some nobody saying the same thing that we didn't know, Jeff, would we bother?
We might not, because the thing about this, and the thing about pointing out ads like this, especially backed by people like Phil Robertson, is because of how much sway they have in everyday life. believe it or not, they're watched quite heavily. There's more people that watch things like Duck Dynasty and the former Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, these exploitation shows, than people that watch Cosmos and other things like actual intelligent television. So it's sort of important to put them out on blast like this, to show what they really believe, and to point out why it's wrong.
Let me just ask, how many votes do you guys think I would get if I ran holding a Quran and an AK-47? It was just like, what's up, America?
It depends on votes what for. Because if you're asking votes to kick you out of the country, it would probably be overwhelming.
I'm gonna be a dick. I'm gonna be a dick and point out that you would get votes if you shot a Quran with an AK-47.
Lucy,
Some parts of the
do that ad, Lucy, and just do a parody ad, and Fox News will think you're running, and will run it 24/7.
Well,
Muslim woman with AK-47 running for Congress.
Let me just throw this out there. I already have my platform. I'm running on the throat puncher platform.
Fascinating. All right. Does everybody want to go to the Pope?
That's weird because that's Tom's platform.
All right. You want to go to the Pope, guys? Finish out the day? All right. It's Pope time. Head over to the Pope Mobile. Let's go. Fundamentalist Christian heads exploded recently with the Pope declaring that evolution and the Big Bang are real. What is this? Furthermore, the Pope declared that God is not a magician and therefore does not have a magic wand. Quote, when we read about creation in Genesis, we run the risk of imagining God was a magician with a magic wand able to do everything, but that is not so. Now, he also talks a little bit in depth about the Big Bang. He said, quote, the Big Bang, which today we hold to be the origin of the world, does not contradict the intervention of the divine creator, but rather requires it. Now, I take a little bit of issue with that specific thing, but I want to continue on with how with him explaining how Christians can actually also adopt evolution. Quote, evolution in nature is not inconsistent with the notion of creation because evolution requires the creation of beings that evolve. Interesting. He also created human beings and let them develop according to the internal laws that he gave to each one so that they would reach their fulfillment. So there you go. The Pope making some changes here that were definitely unwelcome to fundamentalist Christians, but are pretty much well adopted by most rational people, including Christians. What are your thoughts on this? Sean?
Well, I guess I'll go first.
All right.
Let me
what do you think of the Pope?
I, hands down, love this Pope. Like, wasn't he the first from South America or Argentina to be elected Pope, right? Something like that? And then what happened? He allowed Muslim prayer to take place in the Vatican because he was, like, cool with it. And that was back when he was trying to get the Palestine and Israel to agree to, like, this is the Pope. He's trying to get the Middle East in peace. He's letting the Muslims pray. He's saying, who am I to judge the gays? That's not my position. That's God's position to judge. Now he's like, science is real, guys. I love this Pope. Hands down, love this Pope. I think he's an amazing Pope, and I really, 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 really hope people actually start listening to this Pope, because he sounds like he has really good plans, and it sounds like he's going to do a lot of good. And he wants to help the poor. He doesn't want to wear, like, the fancy shoes that the other Pope wore because they're too expensive. He wants to wear his plain old boring shoes. So, love this Pope.
He also doesn't want to sit in the golden throne.
Yeah, he wants to sit on a throne of swords, which was weird. But, yeah, Game of Thrones reference. I don't love this Pope, and this is a reason why I kind of like him, but he's still a pope, and he still kind of sucks. And I'm waiting for him to go to Africa and tell people that using condoms will not cause them to go to hell. So I'm still waiting on that one. But yeah, so he accepts the Big Bang, and because he accepts it and he's infallible, the Big Bang therefore happened, because it didn't happen before. He actually made it happen retroactively. So I want to thank him for that. He semi-accepts evolution, or accepts evolution, at least for a few days, until the Vatican retracts the statements, like the gay thing, where he says, oh, he didn't really mean that. What we actually meant was X, Y, and Z. So those are all good things. He does a lot of things, like he's a politician. He does a lot of things like optically that are good. And I just want to point out he's not from South America. He's an Italian who was like in South America. He was in Argentina for a long time. So yeah, they never hire a South American for that job. And of course they hired the Pope. He's actually not appointed by God. And most importantly, this is the reason why evangelicals think the Pope is an agent of the devil. Because he just said creationism is bad, and God doesn't have a magic wand. He actually has a hammer. But
can I think I'm the resident Catholicism expert, because my mom is like big on that, and I was raised Catholic and everything. Can I just give a little pushback to Sean on that, Jeff? Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Again, I'm not the biggest fan of any pope or any Catholic part of the religion because of how they have persecuted people and what they've done in the past and how long it takes for them to change. But this particular pope has been a breath of fresh air for the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has been declining because of stuff like previous popes and hardline conservative, ultra crazy things that they've said and done and allowed to happen. This Pope has made strides, and what you see, Sean, is the cogs in the wheel still fighting to keep the old ways. That happens every time a new Pope tries to do anything. I fear for this Pope's life because he is so dynamic, because he is saying what he's saying, and because there is so much pushback. He really is a breath of fresh air for the Catholic Church. He's not perfect, but he's a Pope. I mean, this is the same guy who actually said, I'm not infallible. No Pope has ever done that before. This is the guy who refused the papal apartments. No Pope has ever done that before. People don't realize, who are not Catholic, how significant what this Pope has done just to shake up the church. And it really frustrates me when non-Catholics talk lackadaisically about this Pope like they know everything, and they really don't. For hardcore Catholics, this Pope is like a throat punch, to use Lucy's terminology, and he's a breath of fresh air. And he gets pushback from the Vatican because you just changed the Pope. You didn't uproot the whole church, and that's what it really needs. But until you get that, you're going to get at least the little bits and pieces, and I'm thrilled with that because it shows that it can eventually happen. That's all I have.
I just want to point out that a throat punch is contrary to a fresh breath of air, and I get your points about that, Tom. But like, he's still a pope, and I'm still not a big fan. And I forgot what I was gonna say because I was too busy making that stupid joke. Oh yeah, Pope Benedict is obviously by far a better pope because he got rid of purgatory, and that's slightly more impressive than anything this pope has done. He said, "What, purgatory? Again, you don't like that? Goodbye."
Again, I'd rather have a pope with the balls to say I'm not fucking infallible, as opposed to
Thank you for repeating that. Thank you for repeating that, because that's what I wanted to talk about. The Pope, who is infallible, said he's not infallible, which created a gigantic paradox that split the Vatican the other day.
You know what? I'm done. I can't. I'm done. You killed me.
Well, no,
John, you blew me up. You blew my argument up. Jeff, go ahead. You killed me.
Well, for me, it's nice to see the Pope step out of the Dark Ages on this one, and I think a lot of it is just trying to catch up with the times. This isn't the first time the Pope has actually said, "Okay, yeah, we now agree with the scientific consensus. We now agree that the universe does not revolve around Earth." Well, what a concept, right? We finally come around to accepting that. So I think this is their this is their moment, the modern era of saying, okay, we do now accept science, but they're still going to have barriers to progress as we continue to find newer and newer things. The church is always going to be behind. It's always going to lag behind because it is rooted in a very conservative belief, and that new ideas do take a long time to seep in, but they eventually do. And I'm not going to give the Pope a cookie or overly praise him for doing that, for accepting actual facts. It's more of like a good job. Welcome to the 21st century. We missed you. Hopefully now we can make this ridiculous creationism bullshit go away. And we're still gonna need a lot of help from Christians, from a lot of Christian institutions to try and eliminate those ridiculous beliefs.
Okay, so let me say, really quick. Fuck, I just forgot what I was going to say.
That happens sometimes.
It does, and it's kind of shitty because it was really, really good, too.
I'll say something, and then we'll come back to you. I'm just got a quick point. Jeff's right. It shouldn't be breaking news that somebody's accepting basic science. And I just want to compare religions. On Asgard, science and magic are the same thing.
I just remembered what I was going to say.
You're welcome.
The Pope is a great politician for doing this, though. Because the youth are like people my age were like, yeah, of course it's real. Of course the Big Bang happened. Of course we evolved. Like, what kind of idiot doesn't believe that? And the Pope's like, they're calling me an idiot now. Now I gotta change my stance. I don't want to be an idiot. I want to be hip, and I want to bless people's iPhones and, take selfies and pray for electronics because that's the kind of cool Pope I am. So, of course, he's just doing what any politician would do. People like gays? I like gays. People like science? I like science.
I like tacos.
Maybe the Pope likes tacos. We don't know. We don't know.
Who doesn't like tacos?
The Pope.
That's what I'm saying.
Jeff, are we going to do Q&A?
I think we could probably leave some of that open for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't have any questions, so.
Okay, no problem.
The point of the Pope being a politician should be underscored. The Pope is elected. He's not chosen by a mythical hammer that determines his worthiness, which is the only logical way. He's elected by a bunch of cardinals, and he's really good at being a politician. And I'm glad that people are having a more positive... I'm actually split on the fact that people are having a more positive view of the church. But I'm glad that people who are believers are questioning some of their more... are beginning to question some of the older, more non-productive parts of the ideology.
Can I put this to bed? This is like when we praise the company for leaving ALEC. They shouldn't have joined ALEC in the first place. The church shouldn't have had these stupid views in the first place. But it's nice to finally see them come around. So you feel kind of bad for pointing slapping them on the back and saying, "Good job, you finally came around." But yet you're kind of happy that they did. I think that's the best way to go with that.
And to close this segment out, Jeff doesn't want to give the Pope a cookie, but I might want to give the Pope a small boy.
That is so wrong.
I denounce and reject myself for that.
Since Jordan isn't here, I will apologize for Sean.
It's not a show until someone apologizes for Sean.
There is no apologies. This is not MSNBC, guys. We need to be like Fox. Even when we're wrong, we're right.
And now I can really never run for political office.
Well, aside from the clown video from the other day, yeah.
It's okay. You can run with me on my throat puncher platform. It's cool. It's cool. We got this in the bag. Just AK-47s and Qurans. We'll be good. We'll win.
You'll win something.
I'll win a trip to Guantanamo.
A one-way trip to Guantanamo. Yeah, that's right.
I'll get to party in Cuba. Y'all been with me?
All right. Well, anyway, that's our show. That's all I got for you today. Make sure to tune in tomorrow. Well, first of all, tune in tomorrow for the not here, but on MyLibs Live for what is it, Tom? You
Get it
Halloween.
right. Hashtag MyLibsLive for the Twitter feed. It's on myliberals.com. If you're gonna plug me, Jeff, plug me right.
No.
But I love you. I love you just the same.
I'm not gonna plug anyone right. That's wrong.
Yeah, that's Sean's job. We all know that.
Anyway, Halloween, what? Spooktacular, 4 hours.
Spooktacular.
4 hours of Tom.
Yes. We're gonna have what did they call it? Ayabola. We're gonna see if I catch that within the 4 hours of the show.
That's gonna be a crazy 4 hours.
It's gonna be spooktastic.
There's a lot of people are gonna stop by and call in on the show. So, I might stop by if I got time. Sean's going to stop by. Right?
Or nobody will for 4 hours and everybody will watch me wing it. That could be fun. That could be like watching some guy on the Titanic move the deck chairs around.
Oh.
Sounds
awesome. Nobody stops by. Okay.
I'll try my best, but I have a class and might have a Halloween thing.
Well, you could still call in through a phone. There you go.
Tweet me, direct message me how I could do that from a regular phone. Spooky skeleton time.
Not a regular phone, but a phone with a Skype app on it.
Spooky skeleton time.
Spooky skeleton time.
Okay.
All right. So tune into that tomorrow, and of course tomorrow night we've got another show here on TYT Community, the TYT Network. My last show for a while, so definitely tune in for that because you won't see me anymore for at least on camera for a while. So stop in, see our last show. Make sure to like us, subscribe, do all that stuff. Social media, TYT Nation, TYT Community, and of course the Facebook. Those are the Facebook, and of course Twitter at Jeff's Politics. All that fun stuff. And with that. I leave you with
skeleton
time, Sean.
Skeleton time.
You guys have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow here on TYT Community.
I forgot to plug.
Yum, 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 yum.